Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel. I'll be drafting a princess dart bustier. So now I marked from my shoulder point to my bust point to my under bust and my waist point, which is 18 inches. So now I'm going to roll a straight roll at each point I marked out. So this is for my shoulder line. This line is for my bust line. Then this line is for my under bust point. Then the lastly for my waistline. So I'll just label it here, and again fold your fabric by 2 if cutting on your fabric directly. So now for my shoulder line, I'm going to mark out 8 inches. My shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 gives me 8. So now for the neck wideness, I'm going to mark out 3 inches. Then for the depth, I'm going to be making use of 5 inches. You can actually make use of 4 inches. It depends on how deep you want the neckline to be. So I'll connect both points with my curved roll, just like this. Then I'll mark 1 inch down for my shoulder slope. So I'll just connect like this. So now I'm going to be marking my armhole measurement divided by 2. I'll take it there. And I'll connect from my shoulder line to the point I marked my armhole measurement. Then I'll roll a straight line like this. So this will be my chest line. So now I'll mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10 inches. Then for my armhole, I'll divide it by 2 to get the midpoint. Then I'll come in by ½ inch. So now I'll connect from that ½ inch I took in to that point I marked my 10 inch for my body bust circumference. So now for my dart, nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inch divided by 2 is 4 inch. So I'm just going to mark it at my bust point, my waist under bust line and my waistline. Now for my waistline, I'll come out by ½ inch. On that place I mark my 4 inch for that. Then for the side, I'm going to come out by 1½ inch. Then I will do the same thing for the under bust line. So I'll connect it, the both points, just like this. So now for the bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Now I'll connect from that 1½ inch to the 1 inch I took below the bust line, just like this. So I'll be doing the same thing for the center front darts. I'll come down by 1 inch below the chest line. Then I'll mark it there. So now I'll connect the dot line to that 1 inch I took below the chest line. So now I'm going to measure my armhole just like this again to get the midpoint. So now I'll divide the 10.5 I got here by 2. So after dividing it, I got 5¼ inches. So I'll just place it at my armhole line to get the midpoint. So now I'm done taking the midpoint of my armhole. Now I'll connect from that point, meeting my dart point, and then I will use my curve rule to curve it this way. So now I'll be marking half inch for both sides of that line I marked at the midpoint earlier, and I'll connect both points meeting my dart point. So now for that first line facing the chest line, I'm going to come up by 1 inch in a slant method, and then I will use my ruler to connect to that point, to that 1 inch point. Now from that point, I take my bust measurement earlier. I'm going to mark out 1 inch there. So now we have 2 points there. Then I will connect it to the new armhole that I have now, just like this. So now this is for our new armhole, and this part is no longer needed, so I'll use my red marker to indicate it. Now from that my new armhole, I'm going to mark out 2 inches, and this will be for my allowance. So now for my underbust, I'm going to divide my underbust by 4, and I have 8.5 inches. So I'm just going to tick it there, and then I'll be replacing 2 inches I took from my dart intake. I'll replace it here, then I mark out the 2 inches, and then 2 inches for my allowance. So now I'll be doing the same thing on the waistline too. I'll connect to those points with my ruler. So now I'm done marking those points I took from my body and my 2 inches allowance. So I'm just going to mark the 2 inches with my marker so you'll be able to understand what I'm explaining. So now this is for my allowance, and the remaining part of it is my body measurement. So now I'll cut this out. And this is what I have. So this is the center front, the side front. This is my front pattern. So now for my back pattern, I'm going to place my tape like this on my paper. Then from that point I take, I'm going to come down by 11 inches, and this is for my bust point. Then by 14, which is for my under bust point, and lastly 18 inches for my waist point. So I'm going to be using my ruler to connect, to rule a straight line on those points I just marked down. So now this first line here is my shoulder line. Then down, this second line is for my bust line. Then my under bust line. Then lastly my waist line. Now I'll come in by 1 inch on each point, on each line, and this will be for my zipper allowance. So now I'm going to connect straight, meeting those points I marked out. So now I'll be taking all my measurement from that zipper line I marked down. So now my shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. I'm just going to mark it there. Then I marked 3 inches for my neck wideness. And then 1 inch for the depth of my neck. You can also come down by 2 inches. So now I'll just connect to each point. If you feel this is not deep enough for you, you can come down by 2 inches. So now I'll come down by 1 inch on my shoulder line, and then I'll connect to my neck wideness. So now I will come down from my shoulder slope. I'll mark 8.5 inch for my armhole measurement. Then I'll connect from my shoulder slope to that place I marked my 8.5 inches. Just like this, I'll connect straight. And this will be my chest line. So now the next thing I will do is to take my bust measurement, which is 10 inches. If you noticed, I marked it from that zip line that we roll out. So now I will divide my armhole by 2. I'll get the midpoint, and then I'm going to connect that midpoint to that place I marked my round measurement, my bust measurement. Just like this, and this is the armhole for the back part. So now I'll take my nipple to nipple measurement. Is 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'm just going to be marking it down to my waist line. So now I'll connect from my bust line down to my waistline, just like this. And I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch on the center back, 1/2 inch on the side back. So now for the chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch on my dart line. So this is where we are going to be connecting the dart from, to that 1/2 inch we took at the waist line. Now I'll connect from that point to the 1/2 inch I took and the dart at the waist line, just like this. I'll be doing this for both sides. So now I'll be taking my body measurement. Remember, I already took the bust measurement. So now I'm going to take my under bust measurement, which is 8.5. I'll place it there. And then I'll measure the intake I have in my dart there, which is 1/2 inches. I'll replace it there. I'll mark the 1/2 inches there. So now I'll do the same thing for the waist. I'll mark my measurement, and I'll replace the 1 inch I have on my dart intake. I'll replace it 1 inch. So now I will connect to each point. So now I'm done taking my body measurement. I'm going to take 2 inches on each point, and this will be for my allowance. Now I'm going to mark out 1/2 inch from the zipper part at the waistline, and this is just to balance the zipper part so there won't be any folding at the zipper area. Then I'll connect it in a slant method going towards the chest line, just like this. And this is all for the back pattern. I'll just use my marker to indicate that I'm cutting this out. And this is for my dart. So now I'll just go ahead and cut the back pattern. So for this back neckline, when cutting, just cut it straight like this for the back zipper part. So now I'm just going to cut off that 1/2 inch I took at the zipper part. So guys, this is our back pattern and this is our front pattern. This is how it came out. So this is all for my princess dart bustier. So please comment, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.